Hello.
I got it figured out, man.
You did. Good
Yeah.
for you.
Apologize
Those
for
things are challenging.
that. No worries, man. Yeah, we just, I guess there's some weird audio interface issue.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
Happens to the best of us.
it does indeed.
Hmm.
It does indeed. I want to give everyone a quick introduction to the person that we're speaking with. And this is actually new for me. I've never actually met or chatted with Joseph on the phone before, so this is the first time I'm hearing his voice. He
Cold
reached
call.
out to me because I mentioned in Slack a few weeks ago that for May, which is Health and Wellness Month, I would love to interview some people in the health industry and kind of learn a little bit more about what they do, learn some health tips, learn some tricks of the trade, and also maybe potentially talk a little about some health stocks that could be interesting, some pharmaceuticals. Who knows where the conversation leads. So, Joseph, how do you pronounce your last name?
Fiala.
Fiala. Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Where do you live in
Thank
the
you.
world right now?
Oh, I'm in Kentucky. I'm in Frankfort, Kentucky is where we're based out of. I think you've been here
I have.
to
I did
Frankfort.
not know you were in
Yeah.
Frankfort.
Yes, sir.
Oh my
Yeah, you know
goodness. Well, where are we going to hang
George
out?
C., right? Hmm. Yeah, I believe you ate at a restaurant that I own while you were here, too, which is kind of fun.
That is wild.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a small world, right?
going to come back up there then.
Absolutely, you should. Yeah, it's great here. It's a beautiful time to be here.
I will make that a habit. Okay, good, gorgeous. So, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, man. What do you do? What's your specialty in life? What's your passion for trading stocks? Give us some good background.
Sure. Yeah, wow. I do my number one trade is Chinese medicine. That's what I've gotten into practice in the last 10 years here in Kentucky. I went to school for that after getting a business economics degree from University of Tennessee down in Knoxville. That's where I ended up going to school. But then did a 4-year school for Chinese medicine. That's what I'm doing here is basically we run a medium size. We'll call it medium size. We serve a pretty good sized clientele here in central Kentucky, working with people on their health journeys. So trying to, especially chronic pain, chronic illness, things that where pharmaceutical interventions come up a little bit short or tend to have heavy side effects. Things that we can help out with. We're working with people every day and just trying to make our community better.
I love that. Okay, so you're gonna have to tell me a lot about this because I'm ignorant.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn. So Chinese medicine, how is that different from Western medicine? Eastern versus Western, right?
Yeah. And we don't like to think of it too much as a versus anymore, but we're all working together. It's just trying to find the places where different things fit because, usually we've got a person and whatever brings them into the doctor's office or whatever brings them into our clinic, whatever finally motivates a person to reach out for some help. Usually it's some kind of pain or some sort of disorder that's started to affect their life so much that it's time to do something about it and they need to ask for help. So between that time when something happens, which I will say, usually when symptoms start to appear, a lot of times that means there's at least a 70% dysfunction has already occurred before symptoms really start to appear. So usually someone's coming in too late, number one, to either the doctor or to our office, but they're coming in and now they've got a condition. And then what happens in the Western world a lot of times is the interventions are physical therapy is an intervention, pharmaceutical drugs are an intervention, a very popular intervention nowadays, and surgery is an intervention. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of work being done on hormonal balancing, on detoxing, on the central nervous system, unless you're going to specialists, and people can be bumped around a lot. But that's where we fit in. So we're not trying to take the life-saving things that Western medicine can do. We're not trying to we're not trying to step in on a heart attack and say you should come to us when you have a heart attack or anything like that. We're trying to step in when someone is already having some, palpitations, having some arrhythmia, having some sleep problems, having some anxiety, things that show that there may be some things starting to happen there in the heart or cardiovascular issues. And we can assist if they decide to do any pharmaceutical things, or if we can assist with changing diet, lifestyle advice, and then a lot of times it really is big work on circulation. All acupuncture all Chinese medicine typically is a place to really root yourself is looking at it like it's all about circulation, the blood flow through the body. Yeah, and the body stress is a big thing that tends to impair blood flow. Our muscles clamp down, our connective tissue, our fascial system clamps down on our blood vessels, and especially neck, shoulders, things like that, and creates a tension, and it's squeezing those vessels, and it's not getting the tissue, and getting enough circulation in the tissue, not getting enough oxygen in the tissue. Tissue starts to break down. You might not see it. Again, that 70% rule, you might not see it for a year, you might not see it for a couple of years, but that chronic stress will wear on you, and over time, things start to break down. They can't rebuild as well. So there's a common chronic injury kind of progression. So we get in there with acupuncture needles or with herbs. We do a lot of herbs. Herbs are tons of micronutrients. They really help your body process, help the liver process, helps your hormonal balancing. Or we get in there with acupuncture. We work with the nervous system, or we work with actually the tissue to break up tension patterns and try and help the body kind of realign itself so that circulation can move freely and easily again, that smooth, easy flow, and then the body has a chance to heal itself.
Wow. I love that. I'm going to openly and publicly mention I've never done acupuncture, but when I do it, I'm going to do it soon.
Yeah. You should. Acupuncture feels great. People get a little timid.
I'm not scared at all.
I've
just never done it. I've never thought about it. I've heard so many benefits. Tell me a little bit more about acupuncture. Was that something you had to focus on intensely when you were in school? Was that an entire, like a class, a series, or that's an entire study by itself?
Yeah, you could. So our school was 4 years straight through, and a lot of the Chinese medicine schools these days are like that. They're post-grad schools, and then they're 4 years straight through, and you start trying to work with patients pretty quickly in the process so that you're getting a lot of hands-on work, a lot of internship and apprenticeship style learning. But you can do solely acupuncture programs, and those usually you can get done in a couple years. We did herbs and a lot of study of the philosophy and all that sort of stuff, body work stuff as well. So it took a little bit longer. It's a little more well-rounded curriculum. But acupuncture in general, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculously amazing. I kind of live in this. I'm very fortunate to live in this place and time right now where we're here in middle of Kentucky, and you wouldn't necessarily think it would be the most open place for acupuncture. You never know is the thing.
I wouldn't think that at all.
Right. But the benefit that you have here is there is a culture. One, you've got a lot of people that need help. You have a lot of people that have metabolic disorders, a lot of people with severe hormonal imbalances that are on a lot of medications, and they're not getting the help that they need. So there are people that are looking for answers here. And then the other thing is there's kind of an older sort of farmer's mentality kind of thing. That's what we like to call it, but it's not just for farmers. But this sort of mentality of knowing that your body doesn't feel good on all these pharmaceutical drugs, and knowing that like you want natural alternatives. You have a lot of people that are really don't like to go see the doctor. We get a lot of those people coming in. That's the Amish community as well. People that don't like to go see traditional doctors for whatever reason. And so what we do is all natural, and what we do is working with the body to try to stimulate its own healing mechanisms. And when you restore that circulation, amazing things happen. It's the body can do crazy, wonderful things. So we work on trying to remove the obstacles that the body is having to doing the work that it needs to do. So it's actually a wonderful place to practice. It's a beautiful place to practice. It's constantly blowing people's minds, which is which I love. I love that personally.
Yeah, that is incredible. I mean, I think that's,
Yeah.
again, I was really blown away when you said Frankfort, Kentucky. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
How'd you
Yeah.
move?
Frankfurt,
How'd you
Kentucky.
get there? Just in this, were you born in this area of the world?
Oh yeah. I'm from Frankfurt. I was born in Lexington, but from Frankfurt, grew up here, and then we went out. We did our school, and my wife and I both did our school together, Emmeline. And we went out to Portland, Oregon, and so we were out there for 4 years, and it's beautiful out there. But both of us had it kind of deep in ourselves that that we wanted to come back at least for a significant period of time, at least to the point of time where we could, if you go out of your community and you go and you learn something new and you do something different than your community, it's really helpful to bring that back, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because otherwise you just like exported, all the people that are doing things that are different, and things don't change. So we wanted to come back, and we did. And Emmeline, actually, she her family's deeply rooted in Kentucky. They have a farm here where we got married. Actually, they have a farm here that had the original deed is actually Virginia. It was before Kentucky's even a state. It's pretty incredible how long their family's been here. So we knew we wanted to come back. Yeah,
I love that. I think that's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. So tell me a little bit about just your investing background. How'd you get started in the stock market?
I know. Yeah. Well, let's see. So Tennessee, University of Tennessee, down there. I was in a statistics class. It was one of the. For some reason, I did a lot of statistics electives for some reason. I don't know why. I'd never really enjoyed statistics, but I really liked the one particular teacher that I had, and so I just wanted to stay with him, and he happened to teach statistics. So, in one of those classes, they would bring in some guest speakers, and one day, so this would be back in 2003 or 2004 maybe, and one day they brought in a guy who was another teacher there, and he did a presentation on trading options, basically. And it was very alluring the way that he presented it. It was basically a presentation on compound interest. So he was like, you take $1,000 here and you make 10% a month. And, and it's just like, I'm somewhere on this path, but it's like 10 years to $1 million something, or, it was one of those kind of things.
Yep.
But it was very alluring, and he definitely presented it. It was a hour lecture, so you can't get too in depth, but he presented some of the things like MACDs and, crossing lines and how he's like, I can have my 4-year-old point to this and say, you should buy or you should sell. And so he made it sound very easy. So that really kind of, when money sounds easy, it kind of sparks the fire in me sometimes.
It does. Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Obviously it didn't turn out to be that easy, but yeah, so I started just doing some paper trading with Options Express at that time, and got into doing options and things, and that started quite a while. So now that's been, it's been 14 years or so that I've done things off and on. It's ebbed and flowed. There's been times where I've probably haven't traded. There's probably 2 years where I didn't trade at all. Mm-hmm. And there's been mostly big losses more than any gains. I'm not a pro trader at all. I'm still really trying to churn on the mental aspect of it and the discipline strategy of it. And even this last, dip that just happened here, this pullback that's been happening, I was just spreading way too many call positions, and it hit me pretty hard. Those things, every time I think I'm sort of starting to kind of pin it down, then, something comes along and says, you don't quite have it yet.
Yeah.
You need to, think about this aspect. So that's been fun. And I mean, doing your videos and listening to things, it's been really invigorating and stimulating for me. And it's really sparked a lot of good inner work for me mentally and working, because I also, being in Kentucky, I love to bet the ponies too. I've always loved some horse racing here too. So I've got that kind of mentality sometimes that wants to come play at the stock market, like we're playing at the track. So to help kind of give me some guidance on how to approach that, and that it's, like modeling it for me, I know has been incredibly helpful. So I love being a part of the real life trading family, and it's been a lot of fun. The short time that I've been in, it's just been a few months. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that, man. Well, thank you for bringing that up and for sharing your story. I'm going to hear more about it. You mentioned you were in some call options. So right now, are you mostly swing options, or are you day trading them, or what's that look like? Are you doing spreads?
Right. I know, mostly doing swing trading. Because I was hopeful that I might be able to get some moments in day trading, but just the way that my life and schedule is structured, and because once my clinic day starts, there's no time at the phone or time at the computer. It's just kind of room to room to room. So that hasn't worked out as well. So I'm more trying to I'm listening, usually once things come out at 7 or so, I'm listening on delay and trying to kind of set up things for the next day, and I'll have a little bit of time at market open to see things, but it hasn't proved to be enough to actually smartly take any trades, because I know I have a pressing time thing happening. So mostly swing trades and mostly options. But the thing that's really, I had never swing traded with just in stock positions, just not using options. I'd never done that until you.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I just had never. Options was the first thing ever presented to me.
Sure.
And it was just the only thing I ever did. I had stocks. I had some stocks that were long-term stocks.
Yeah.
But but I love it. I think it's so cool. I mean, it feels for me it takes a little bit of the pressure off of it sometimes.
Agreed. So one of the cool parts I like you mentioned a moment ago is you said that you love the challenge of the mental game of all this. Can you talk about that? What's the mental challenge for you, or at least right now in your trading?
Well, I mean, it continues to unfold. So I've been working on the fear of missing out, for sure, has been a big thing that I've been working on. And that, that sparked so much work in my own life, like just outside of the stock. So for me to really integrate learning, I have to kind of integrate it on all levels. So I'm really attracted to things that have more of a deeper truth, more of a universal truth. So that fear of missing out, because we go to kind of the core of emotional issues in all people, and I love to work with this. Like anytime somebody has stress, I always say there's emotion behind it. That's just a physiological thing. Anytime a stress is there, there's an emotion there. So I'm always working with people to kind of identify what those emotions are that are coming up, because once you identify them, they have less of a hold on you, and you can more easily do techniques to let them go. We love to do like tapping, vibration techniques. Have you ever done tapping before? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have not. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, you just take a few of your fingers, and you're just using vibration, because what stress does is clamp everything down. It locks you up. It's kind of like the fight, flight, freeze sort of part, or it just makes everything tight. So the way to what that does is it deprives your body of oxygen, and it gets everything kind of stagnant. So the way to break it up is to, one, get oxygen in. So the first thing you should always do is breathe. And then two is to add some vibration. So we do tapping and we do shaking things. So you take a few of your fingers and you just usually start kind of in that center of your forehead between the eyebrows. That's a great place to start. And you just start tapping. I don't know if you can kind of hear on the phone. Tap, 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 tap. But you just start tapping.
You do it with one finger, two fingers? How many?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want. Yeah, and you can use all your fingers. We feel it's like raindrops. Sometimes you can go over the top of your head, and you just start tapping with your fingers over the top of your head, and you go to the back of your head and your neck and your shoulders, and you just start tapping and adding some vibration in there and using your breath. And it's amazing how that breaks that neural cycle. That's the pattern that happens in stress reactions, is you get in this neural loop. And to break it, you have to bring oxygen into the system, and you have to start bringing in vibration of some sort, whether that's just moving around or whether that's actually kind of jumping up and down or just like shaking your body like a boxer getting into the ring, or tapping, self-massage. It's amazing for it.
Wow.
But, the point of me saying that is with that, fear of missing out coming in for me, like when I'm working with people with those emotions, like usually the one that's underlying almost all emotions, the deepest emotion that tends to be underlying things is fear of the unknown. That tends to be kind of a very root fear. And so fear of missing out is very similar. It's a big aspect of that fear of the unknown that comes out. So having those opportunities presented constantly through trading stocks and through doing options and swing trading and all those opportunities coming up to work on that fear of missing out is such a core inner work to do for our psyche. It's just such an important work for everyone to be doing that I'm amazed and thrilled, and like I'm just so excited by it all the time, because I know that people are getting medicine by doing stocks in this way. It's becoming a medicine for them. And, because we can get it everywhere. You don't have to go to a doctor's office to get medicine, right? Medicine is just giving your body the right thing that it needs at the right time. And so, I've just been incredibly grateful and thankful for everything that you've been doing and everything that people share in the Slack. It's just amazing what people's journey is, sharing in that journey. It's been great medicine to be a part of this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course. No, thanks for being here. That's a really good aspect. I've never thought about some of those things as, medicine. I've only thought of the term medicine as a, physical, actual intake of some kind.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's healing, right? Mm-hmm. If you, type in a 1 if you think you've been healed by, that's the sort of thing that I would say, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you would get a ton of people coming forward. This is bringing healing to people. It's great work that you're doing. It's awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. And it means a lot to me, man, to be a part, like you mentioned, a family and a community of people who just really care about this. So on that note, on the stock market topic note, or do you know of any companies that are doing any kind of research or stepping into the field that you're in? Anything that catches your eye? Anything that you find interesting? Sectors, companies, industries?
I've never thought about it. No, I have no idea. Yeah, that's a blank for me. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. The only healthcare stock I've ever owned was Anthem, and I got given a few of them when they went private, and it was great. It turned from like $1,500 to like $10,000 over the course of however many years, of 12 years or something like that, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But no, I've never approached it that way. So I guess you could go to the cannabis
like
stock.
AIG or United Health or HCA or anything of those companies.
Will you say that one more time?
So companies like AIG or United Health or HCA, or what's your thoughts on companies like those?
It's, I mean, as far as relating to acupuncture, I mean, I don't think there's going to be much impact with insurance and acupuncture, because there are insurance companies that cover acupuncture, or at least copay and do things like that. But I don't foresee, they make their money off pharmaceuticals so much, and that, it's hard. But the insurance, I don't know. It's not my field. I'll have to defer to you on that one.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
totally valuable. Like I said, that's just companies like those. I mean, just the size of some of them too. Is
Right.
also a really interesting component with a lot of the healthcare regulations, rules changing, a lot of updates being made, a lot of different decisions being passed. Does any of that affect what field you're in? Does any of these regulations or any of these new bills or anything that have an impact on your studies?
It's tricky. I mean, where we work the best is when we get people looking at it like it's separate from insurance. It's really nice when insurance, because we pay so much for insurance, right? I mean, it's really nice when you can have your insurance do some copay, or they can pay for some of the visits, things like that. But really, so if you went, thing in Kentucky, when I moved back after learning things, when I moved back and started looking at patients and started working medically, the thing that kind of blew my mind, from being out to Portland to coming here, was how many people have their gallbladder out here in Kentucky. It's ridiculous how many people have their gallbladder out. And I know that happens in a lot of places. It wasn't quite the case where I was practicing in Portland and where I was in school, but here everybody has their gallbladder out.
Why
One way to look at that is, and there's a lot of very, this isn't a slight on the medical profession at all. This is something that doctors talk about themselves, and an issue that they're all running up against because they're getting so confined in what they can do. But if you go to a doctor, if they're going to sit down with you and look at the food that you're eating, take you through a healthcare plan, a strategy of how you can change what you're eating, give you a bunch of dietary advice, sit down and talk to you for an hour and a half, and go through ways that you can restructure your life and how that could help balance things out hormonally. You look at how much they could charge for that service, which is going to be more in the, $120, $150, something like that, versus, because insurance is all about coding, right? So consultations and things like that, you reach a limit with it, versus how much are you going to make if you take somebody's gallbladder out, or how much are you going to make, when you start getting these pharmaceuticals moved. It's the system's kind of set up in a way that is very not encouraging to actually working with people's underlying health problems, which takes time and takes education. Takes a lot of education time. So insurance, there are plans, like sometimes insurance will provide health wellness plans, things like that. We fit in great with some of those things where they actually will provide some subsidization for you to get some education or take some courses, or they'll provide some training, things like that. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's a murky world. And then you get into reimbursement rates, and they're really undervaluing what we do. So, I mean, a lot, like Medicare's not covering acupuncture, but if they were, they'd probably pay something like $30 or something like that, something very low. And as soon as that starts happening, other insurance companies, which might pay $60, are going to start pushing that down a little bit. Whereas the value of what we're providing and the training, and that training, I mean, I came out with $200,000 of student loan coming out of school. I mean, that training is not cheap. And it's very thorough. You learn a lot of Western medicine, anatomy, physiology, so you can work with patients and know when to refer them. But then you're going into a practice where, if you let the insurance world dictate your value, then it's just starting off against the grain. It doesn't work, and those economic models for running a business don't really work. So I just don't get too involved in the insurance thing.
Valid. Very
yeah.
valid. Okay, well, then I got a great question. So August is asking this: what are your thoughts on medical marijuana?
Marijuana is so helpful for some people, right? Similar, it's everybody's different. For me, it's too stimulating. So it overly stimulates my nervous system. So I can't do it personally, but it is. I mean, it's an incredible resource. I'm many patients that do use it very medicinally. It is something in Kentucky that's really in the culture here because marijuana grows incredibly well in Kentucky. So that's something too, if you're looking for things to look at medicinal marijuana companies that might be trying to help in the turnover of Kentucky, because it's coming up. The bills in Kentucky are coming up to try to get it legalized here, and there's a lot of people that are very hopeful over the next 2 or 3 years medical marijuana will be legal in Kentucky, and it's a phenomenal place to grow. And the CBD industry, the hemp industry, has just taken off here since being legalized. I think 2 years ago. But yeah, it's incredibly helpful. But again, it's just case by case. It's learning what helps, and then there's obviously different strains. So you gotta learn how to intake it, and you gotta learn which strains work for you, whether you like the more stimulating or the ones that are more body relaxing. And it's medicine, right? Everything is medicine, and but for it to really be an effective medicine, for it to be the right medicine, it's got to be the right thing at the right time. And so, a lot of people try to kind of force the issue, and they end up, they're doing not the right thing, and they're doing it at not the right time. So I like it. I like it being an option to an alternative option to pharmaceuticals, because there's just people are scrambling. Medical doctors are just scrambling. I mean, they see what's happening. I mean, everybody's on a statin these days. I mean, I could talk forever about this stuff, but the one piece of advice for anybody looking at evaluating their pharmaceutical drugs and looking at what are being suggested to take things is to look up the NNT values, number needed to treat. Always look up those NNT values. So you can take any drug, like a statin or something like that, and search the name of it, and then NNT. That means number needed to treat. And for a lot of these things, the way that the research is being pushed out is so for a lot of statins, I think the number needed to treat is something like, I want to say 89. Some of them are up in like the 130s for preventing heart attack. And what that means is that they did 5-year studies where they have 100 people take that drug for 5 years consistently, and out of that, out of 137 people, if that's the number they needed to treat, out of 137 people who've taken it regularly for that time, one person showed reduced risk of having a heart attack. I think it's a little bit more for strokes. I think it's a little bit higher percentage for strokes. But statins are given out like candy, and they are hard on the body. They're difficult for the liver to process. They end up congesting the liver, but that's a really nice thing to look at. The number needed to harm, NNH values, are really helpful too. I think that number needed to harm is usually like, I think for that same statin, I think it's somewhere around 11 to 15. I don't have these in front of me, so please, just look it up. You can find it. But which means 15 people need to take it consistently for one person to be harmed. This stuff's real. I mean, pharmaceutical drugs. We're in a big kind of experiment, and it's being pushed. It's being pushed. All the research studies are being really pushed out there. They're all funded. They all have an agenda, and this is how companies make their money. And I mean, they've got a whole lot of money to throw around. So it's not always the way to get actual real healing. happening. So any options, medical doctors are generally, that I've worked with, are almost always seeing through these issues, these pharmaceutical issues, but they're just kind of, their hands are tied a little bit. They've got standard of care that they have to work with, but
Right.
if medical marijuana enters the system, they've got another option that they can use, and I know a lot of them are chomping at the bit to do that as well. So a lot of change that needs to happen.
Oh yeah, of course, and that's something that's going to take forever, just with the size, the size of people that we're dealing with.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
The amount of things
But
that
it's
are
fun.
out there.
Yeah.
You're definitely correct. I mean, so in regards to that, is leaching? Is that still a thing? Someone's asking.
Leaching. Sure. Yeah, leaching is definitely a thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't do it. We do some bloodletting techniques, but it's not. We don't use leeches. I did just meet at an acupuncture seminar. I did just meet someone whose primary practice now is using leeches. Leeches are pretty cool. She lives up in Canada, and is actually, I think, in the cannabis business as well.
Mm-hmm.
But leeches are pretty cool because there's the saliva. There's an enzyme in their saliva that will just kind of go straight through some of your tissue and sort of dissolve it. I know it sounds a little funny, but it thins the blood. Have you ever had a leech on you?
I have not
you have
intentionally, but it was unintentionally.
Sure. Yeah, not usually intentionally.
Yeah.
We were in Sri Lanka. I spent a lot of time in India for a while, and we were in Sri Lanka, and there were leeches all over the place. And so you'd just be sitting there eating dinner, and you don't feel them because they have a little numbing agent too. But you just be sitting there, and you kind of look down at your leg and like pull something off, and it thins your blood so much. It just starts moving. Yeah, but leeches are pretty tremendous in that way because, like I was saying about working with circulation, that's the number one thing that we always need to be working with is our circulation. And the thing that happens to it is it gets stagnant. We get blood that gets stagnant. That can be in certain areas, like if you have a tight shoulder and it just stays tight for years and years and years. The places where it's tightest, it's going to cramp down on that muscle. And most of our circulation is moving through a skeletal muscle pump. It's not through the heart. It's moving through our skeletal muscle pump, like where the muscles are expanding and contracting. And so when you have limited range of motion in those muscles, it doesn't pump the blood as much. So it starts building up in that tissue. And you actually do end up with just old blood. It gets thicker and it gets darker. And so getting that out I've seen tremendous things happen just by letting some blood out, especially as far as pain things. If you have sharp stabbing kinds of pains that just are fixed and won't go away, that's almost always blood that needs to get out of there. And not many people do it nowadays, but it's an incredible therapy. Yeah, I don't do it personally, but
right. So tell us
everything's
more about
medicine.
circulation. I mean, other than exercise, just your general exercise, what would be some advice that you have on just blood circulation?
Yeah, I mean, exercise is good. I mean, but the vibration, like I was saying, vibration, shaking, movement like that is just super helpful for stirring up all the intracellular fluid, which is really good for moving the lymph. Acupuncture, I mean, really, acupuncture is tremendous. That's the main thing that it's working on. So usually when you feel the needles, when you feel acupuncture, you'll get like this tingling feeling. It engages your parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest nervous system, where you usually get this waves of tingles that kind of come up. And I mean, yeah, it feels like sometimes you'll feel like you fell asleep, but you're like, well, I wasn't quite asleep, or but you just kind of travel, and it's really neat stuff. It connects you with your body. That's a great way to work on circulation, because then you have somebody who's literally looking at your body and looking for the places where circulation's not moving and trying to help those things begin to flow. Yeah. So like that's a primary therapy for working on your circulation. But otherwise, you got to be real careful about our eating, especially getting congested liver with all the chemical exposure. Something like 80,000 chemicals we're exposed to every day, and the liver is processing all that sort of stuff. So giving our livers a little love every now and again. If you wanted to do a simple cleanse, like for your liver, to give it a little bit of love, the liver, it's got its own immune system. The liver has its own immune system.
Wow.
So it's going to be, it starts working on itself. And it has more endocrine functions than most of our actual endocrine glands. So it's basically a hormonal organ, but it does a lot of other things in the body too. But it digests fats. That's the big thing that it does. It digests fats for us. So if you want to give your liver a little bit of break, animal protein is the hardest thing for a liver to digest, and fats get it working. So when you go to sleep at night, you drink some water or whatever, you go to sleep, and as you're sleeping through the night, your liver will finish its process for the day, and then it'll kind of go into a dormant stage. And then 3 or 4 a.m., that liver will wake up, and it'll start doing its own kind of clear out on itself. It'll start really working its own clearing out function. A lot of people will wake up at this time, especially if they have a congested liver. So you start treating that liver, and that waking up at 3 or 4 a.m. usually will change. So it could also be adrenals, though. But anyway, so you 3 or 4 a.m., the liver wakes up, starts working on its own processes, clearing itself out, detoxing. You wake up, start going with it. As soon as you ingest a fat, your liver is going to stop working on itself, and it's going to start trying to produce bile to break down that fat. So then it starts its day. It's like it's working on itself, and then like the phone rings, and there you go. Now you're done for the day, liver's done, and it's got its own thing to do. But if you want to do a real simple liver cleanse, you just don't ingest any fats until lunchtime. You spend the whole morning just with fruits and vegetables. And you start the morning maybe with some lemon water, juice, smoothies, not sugar, trying to get rid of pesticides, not like processed sugar juice, but like you could actually juice or do smoothies with vegetables and stuff like that. Spend that whole morning. If you get to noon, then you forgot from 3 or 4 a.m. to noon that your liver has just been able to try to work on its own clearing out processes.
Yeah.
So you got a good 8 hours that you just gave your liver to start doing some detox work. That's tremendously, tremendously beneficial.
Wow.
Yeah, that for your blood circulation. That's what I'm talking about. For blood circulation.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very useful insights.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. There's so much that we can do, but we don't get triggered into doing it. We don't, the education, all this stuff should be in our schools, right? I mean, all this, like how to take care of ourselves, how to eat, all this stuff should be in our school system. It'd be some beneficial stuff to add in, how to deal with stress, how to balance our hormones.
What would you, so tell me about the hormone balancing. We got about 5 or 6 more minutes. I mean, what would be, I mean, I've never even thought about that. That's something that hasn't even crossed on my radar. So when you're talking about hormone balancing, why would one do that? How do you know it needs balancing? What's the pros and cons?
Sure. We mainly work with, hormonally, we mainly work with the liver. Almost everybody needs some liver work. It's just the reality of where we are in this modern day. Liver, thyroid, adrenals, and then reproductive hormones like the ovary, testes hormones. Those are the main ones that we typically trigger in on for the balancing. There's other hormones through the body, but those are the ones that we find are kind of the most commonly out of balance, and the ones that when you bring them back in balance, the rest of the body just tends to work. Thyroid issues, lots of people have thyroid issues. It can be hyperthyroid, where it's just overactive, and it's like you drank a bunch of coffee and you're running around in circles. Or it could be hypothyroid, where it's underactive and you kind of gain weight. You can bloat up a little bit and you just get more lethargic. Your energy wanes, that sort of stuff. The liver congestion usually a lot of people will feel it. They'll feel some. They might get pains in that sort of, the liver's on the right side of your abdomen. They might get some pains over there, or they might get pains in that right shoulder. They might have a bigger pot belly that just feels kind of stuck and stagnant. That's usually a kind of liver type. When the adrenals get out of balance, your cortisol levels a lot of times will flip, which means you instead of having energy in the morning and steadily going to sleep at night, it kind of flips. So you're a little bit groggy in the morning. You got to get that coffee or some sort of stimulant to get you going. And then at night, things start to come up, and you start to have this energy, and it starts to become clear. Or you just wake up in the middle of the night all of a sudden. That's another thing that could be adrenals. So, and then the estrogen levels, and testosterone levels. That's a lot of times this comes down to working with detoxing the body. Thyroid issues are almost always secondary issues to the adrenals or to the liver. A lot of times. Thyroid's an incredibly sensitive organ, except for autoimmune issues, but those still get better typically with working on the liver. But incredibly sensitive. So you have any thyroid issues, you got to be really careful about what chemicals you're taking in. Like look at your, perfumes and shampoos and soaps and clothes and everything that you're surrounding yourself with, foods, especially foods. And especially meats, because our meats, like if you're not eating like the organic grass-fed meats, you're eating meats that are filled with what we call endocrine disruptors. That's what the EPA calls them, endocrine disruptors. They mess up our endocrine system, our hormonal system. All these pesticides, herbicides, the growth hormone stuff that gets pumped into meat. And I'm a big meat eater, and I've done keto and done a lot of that stuff, but I'm mainly plant-based diet these days, and I still eat meat. I try to go for fish, things like that, and try to just be really careful about the sources. And it is a lot better for your system to try to run more on fruits and veggies and just tons of micronutrients and phytonutrients. Actually, having too much protein, having too much fat in your bloodstream impairs your blood sugar balance. A lot of people don't realize that because they're not eating sugar when they're on keto or something like that. But as soon as you take that sugar in, it creates bigger spikes than people that eat it regularly. There's a lot of great studies on that. Interesting world, tons of fun stuff out there.
Tons of fun stuff. So if you're living in Frankfurt, then I'm assuming that you know George and Carrie C.
Yeah, Carrie works at our clinic. Carrie is a craniosacral therapist at our clinic. Yeah, we've known her and she does retreats. We do retreats. She does retreats with us as well.
Yeah,
she's great.
Of course. Okay, so then pretty much what's going to happen is I'm just going to have to call you and schedule a time to get up there. That's what's going to have to occur then, huh?
Absolutely. Come on, brother. It'd be great. We'd have fun.
All right. Well, it's going to happen. So you heard it here, man. I will be looking at my calendar. We're going to get something on the books for June or July. I know they're coming down.
I'm sure you have tons of free time, it sounds like.
Oh, man. Absolutely. Always. But they're coming down.
You're like the busiest man alive.
Well, I mean, it's just all about scheduling and priorities, right?
Sure. You do it great, man. Good for you.
Thank you. Well, my friend, it was so good chatting with you. And again, if anyone out there just wants to chat with Joseph about, his practice or what he does, or maybe scheduling a session or consultation, if you're in the area, you can always reach out to him. He's on Slack. It's right there. And and you can check out the Light Clinic too. We've got a couple of classes too online. We have a meditation class that does a lot of those principles of stress and dealing with the balancing of stress and pain. That's online, an online class, and also do coaching sessions for people who want to learn to meditate. TheLightClinic.org is our website. TheLightClinic.com?
.org. O-R-G.
Got
it.
Beautiful. I'm pulling up on the right now. .org. It's cool that you got the .org. When did you buy that domain?
2010, 2009, 2008, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, incredible stuff.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Joseph. We will be chatting very soon and get some stuff happening and make it occur.
Wonderful. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Likewise, buddy. Take care.
You too.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was some incredible information from another real-life trader. Again, just such a wealth of knowledge that's inside this community and this group and this just team of traders and this family. It's always lovely to hear from each and every one of you and to talk and to learn and to grow. So thank you for all who are here live and for those listening on the recording. If you are listening on the recording, have a great rest of your day, night, week, year, whenever you're here, whenever you're listening to this. I appreciate your time immensely. And yep, we are going to be crushing it from here. If you need anything else at any point in time, let me know. Folks from around the world, you absolutely rock. The only other updates I have is lift for our swing trade. Take the stop and just kind of scoot that up to 52.47. And going to stay in that overnight. You know, if it hits our target of 54.59 between now and market close, great. If not, just going to leave the stop in here for a while just to let the moving averages and everything just kind of catch up and slowly press it higher. And then maybe tomorrow we'll gap up above 54.59, you know, and get lucky. And, you know, MAXR, so we're just going to hold on to this trade for a while. It's just going to chill out up here and just kind of do its thing. And then, of course, Beyond Meat is straight up rampage mode right now. Rampage Jackson, $140, $100.40. That's our target to exit all on Beyond Meat. Folks from around the world, you rock. I love you all. I'll see you later. Bye.